Well, hey, friends, how are you today? Hey, today I have with me my fruit basket here that's filled with fruit, and just looking at some of this fruit like bananas and some oranges. Yep, orange. We got orange here, and we got some grapes. And as I'm looking at this fruit basket, apples, oranges, grapes. Here's peach. Thinking, what most of the fruit that is in this fruit basket, in fact, most fruit, I believe, grows on trees. Don't you think? Most fruit grows on trees. So why does fruit fall from the tree? Did you ever think of that? Why doesn't it just stay on the tree? Nice place to be. It's safe. No animals can munch on them because it's on a tree. Well, fruit falls from a tree for a number of reasons. One is when it's ripe and ready to pick, or if it's overripe, sometimes it falls. It also falls if the wind is blowing, and it might blow some fruit off the tree. Another reason is if it's dry. If the tree lacks water and there's not enough water around, the tree might drop some of its fruit, so it has enough water to support the remaining fruit. So it sacrifices some. Oh, I have an apple here. Hey, did you ever hear the saying, "The apple does not fall far from the tree"? Well, what did that mean? That the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. We've been talking about fruit falling from the trees, but the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Well, some people say that as a way of saying that um, children may show the same qualities and talents similar to their parents. You might say about Susan. Susan's mother is a skilled pianist, and from what I have heard, Susan is too. I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Or Sarah. Sarah was a kind person, always showing consideration for others. Her parents are the same way. So it seems that the apple never falls far from the tree. So that's the saying. Sort of like there's some other phrases that mean the same thing, like a chip off the old block. You've heard people say that. Or like two peas in a pod, meaning they're the same. Or like father, like son. Yeah, sometimes I've been told that I'm much like my father, or my father was much like me, but I guess he came first. So I'm much like my father. So some people would tell me that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So where did this phrase come from? Well, at the bottom of any apple tree or any fruit tree, like we've talked about, you might see the fruit that the tree produces laying on the ground when it falls off. The fruit falls to the ground, it lays there, and it remains close to the tree. It doesn't go far away. It falls pretty much straight down right next to the tree. So this is a natural occurrence that happens every harvest season. And eventually that idea of the apple not falling far from the tree turned into the metaphor and the phrase that we now use to mean that a person is not very far off from how their parents are. Same characteristics, same qualities. They are definitely their parents' children. You know what? We are God's children. Ephesians 5:1 and 2 says, "You are the children that God dearly loves. So follow his example. Lead a life of love, just as Christ did. He loved us. He gave himself up for us. He was a sweet smelling offering and sacrifice to God." So, because we are God's children, followers of Jesus, we should be showing the same characteristics and traits that Jesus did. In fact, 1 John 2:6 says, "Those who claim to belong to Jesus must live as Jesus did." We should be like the fruit that doesn't fall far from the tree, the apple that doesn't fall far from the tree. We should be like Jesus, following him. 1 Peter 2:21 says, "You were chosen to do good even if you suffer. That's because Christ suffered for you. He left you an example that he expects you to follow." So my question sometimes is, yes, people can look at me and they can see my father or my mother and they can say, yes, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But when people look at me, do they see Jesus? Are they able to say, you know, Milt is a Christ-like person. He doesn't fall far from the tree. I see Jesus in Milt. Not I am not Jesus, but I allow Jesus to work through me. I hope that can be said of me. And I hope that can be said of you. So I want you to think of ways that Jesus can work through you so that people might be able to say, you know what, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You're like your parents, and you're also like your heavenly Father. Well, today, do well. Be like Jesus in all that you do. Be imitators of Christ. Have a day filled with joy, a day filled with peace, and maybe an apple.